Hey, today we're going to take a look at Acts chapter 16, verses 16 through 20. And we began to really dig into this on Sunday morning at New Day Fellowship. So let's take a look at verses 16 through 20. Once, when we were going to the place of prayer, we were met by a slave girl who had a spirit by which she predicted the future. She earned a great deal of money for her owners for fortune telling. This girl followed Paul and the rest of us, shouting, "These men are servants of the Most High God who are telling you the way to be saved." She kept this up for many days. Finally, Paul became so troubled that he turned around and said to the spirit, "In the name of Jesus Christ, I command you to come out of her." At that moment, the spirit left her. When the owners of the slave girl realized that their hope of making money was gone, they seized Paul and Silas and dragged them into the marketplace to face the authorities. Paul and Silas and the others were going to the place of prayer in Philippi because there was no synagogue for them to worship at on the Sabbath. And so the Apostle Paul and Silas and others went there to worship, but also used that as an opportunity to share the gospel of Jesus Christ with the people that were gathered there. Well, at one point, this slave girl who was possessed by a demon was following them around. And this girl was possessed by what's called a python spirit. And you wouldn't know that unless you looked into the original Greek language, but that's the way that it says she was possessed by a spirit of python. And the reason that's referred to that is she was possessed by a demon that was like the spirit that possessed the oracles of Apollo. And Apollo was considered to be the Pythian god because he had killed a great serpent at the Oracle of Delphi. And so this girl was possessed with that type of a spirit. Now, she couldn't really tell the future, but that's the way it appeared to people as they came to her for advice and fortune telling and those types of things. And what you need to remember is that nobody knows the future but God. But you also have to remember that demons have been around for thousands of years and have access to, all kinds of information. So they can be very deceptive in appearing as though they can tell the future. Well, this girl was following Paul and Silas and some of those that were with Paul and Silas and just making a real pest out of herself. And so the Apostle Paul cast this demon out of her. One, because she was interfering with the work of Paul and Silas of sharing the gospel with people. But also, Paul did not want for people to in any way think that they were in partnership with her or in league with her. And so Paul took care of the situation by casting this demon out of her. So my question for you is this, are there people like that today? Well, there absolutely are. Now, the majority of people that would fall under this categories, I would say, are just flat out fakes. People who claim to be psychics or fortune tellers or who read tarot cards or people that consider themselves as being able to predict the future and those types of things. They're fakes. They're preying on gullible people, and that's the way they make their money. But the reality is there are also some people that fall into these categories that are simply in league with the devil. That's where they are getting their powers from, is by being under the influence of the devil. And they prey on people, and this gives Satan an opportunity to get a foothold in their lives. So I really want to caution you on something. Please never have anything to do with palm readers or people who read tarot cards or who are psychics, or never look to your horoscopes for direction. And please never use things like Ouija boards, or if your kids have them, I mean, they're mass marketed to children as like games. Take those things away from the kids, the grandkids, whoever, and throw them in the trash. Never get involved in seances, because these are all works of the devil and opportunities for Satan to get a foothold in people's lives and to deceive them. So I want to read to you out of Deuteronomy chapter 18, and I'll show you how adamant the Lord is about us never having anything to do with these types of people. So Deuteronomy 18, beginning with verse 10, and it says, "Let no one be found among you who sacrifices his son or daughter in the fire, who practices divination or sorcery, interprets omens, engages in witchcraft, or casts spells, or who is a medium or spiritist, or who consults the dead. Anyone who does these things is detestable to the Lord, and because of these detestable practices, the Lord your God will drive out those nations before you. You must be blameless before the Lord your God." So, uh, never have anything to do with those types of things. And my question for you would be, why would you look for guidance for some person who hangs, a neon sign of a palm out in front of their house, rather than going to the almighty um, omnipresent, omnipowerful God of the universe, the God of the Bible and His Word? Why would you turn to something lesser than the omnipotent God? Why call psychic networks or look at something they publish in the newspapers, horoscopes, or look at cards when the God of the universe is the one who He knows the future. He knows the plans He has for you. He wants to guide and lead you, and He's revealed His will to you in His Word. So always turn to God for when you need help and guidance and direction in this life, and leave those other things alone, because they will only trap you, deceive you, and give the devil a foothold in your life. Okay, guys, thanks for joining me for a little brief summary of what we talked about Sunday morning at New Day Fellowship. And of course, as always, I invite you to join us for worship at 10:30 a.m., 115 North Fayette Street in Shippensburg. All right, I look forward to seeing you.